Welcome to the Orange City Literature Festival Book Review Podcast. I'm Munazzan Faruqi and I'm excited to introduce you to a new segment featuring book reviews from the students of Nagpur. This is our 6th year and what better way to celebrate than by giving students a voice. Joining us today is Gargi Kherdekar from MKH Sancheti Public School. Welcome Gargi. Please tell me a bit about the book that you've read, the title and the author please.
My title of the book is Diary of a Young Girl, Anne Frank. It is an autobiography or a memoir of a girl who went into hiding with her family in Amsterdam due to the Nazi occupation. She wrote her challenges, her struggle, she expressed her emotions in the diary. She named it Kitty because she wanted it to feel that it was a friend, not a piece of paper. It was her friend.
And the book, The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank, is quite a powerful piece of literature. It dwells into the tragic time in our history, the Holocaust, the discrimination, and it also describes the struggles that one has to face for survival during the wartime. And people of your age typically go for, a lighter, fluffier reads, romance, adventure, fantasy. What made you pick this book?
I picked this book because I was always interested in history. I don't find fantasy that much attractive to me. She was somewhat relatable to me because at the age her and I were the same age. So there were some struggles and challenges she faced and were similar to mine. So I felt a deeper connection to this book than others.
You mentioned that you find Anne's entries and as a character, as a person, very relatable to you. What qualities of her do you admire the most?
Her optimism, her perspective to see the world. It was very different than other books that I have read. Even though the situation was very haunting, it was very scary for a little girl. She was just 13 years old when the World War II happened. She always saw the world still in a positive dim light. It was really fascinating to see a young girl who was scared. Obviously, she was scared, but she never gave up.
It was her optimism that you loved the most. Anne describes in her diary entries that she feels that she has two sides of herself, one that she shows to others and that one she keeps to herself. Do you think we all have a public and a private side?
Yeah, because there are some things which we can tell to only people we trust. Those are the real us. There are many kind of people. Some are very secretive. They don't express themselves that much. The ones that do, probably as like Anne, have a secret side which they only share with their close ones. Anne was a very outgoing person, but she also had a secret side, as you mentioned. At her second last or third last diary entry, she said that if she shows her this side, the calm, reserved side, people will think that she thought that people will make joke of us, because she was always this high-spirited girl and always took like outgoing, fun. But she thought if she told them about the things that were inside her, they will make fun of her. So that's what made her like have two personalities. She told that personality to her diary though.
So she mentioned the persona of her that she keeps close to her heart. She wrote it down in her diary.
Yeah.
Right. And Anne and her family were in concentration camps, and the only person to survive was her father. And he's the one who later published her diary into a book. When you were reading, those entries of her, how did that make you feel? What were the emotions that were going through you?
When I first started the book, I thought she was a bit narcissistic. But when I later on, when I read more and more, I found her growth very similar to mine. She had her set of challenges like anybody else, but she always had a feeling. She always said that even if there is darkness right now, there is always a hope and a reason to keep going. So that might be a reason I really found this very better than other books.
So you found it quite inspiring.
Yeah.
And her family had to go into hiding, and that is a very big change to be to stay hidden because your life is in danger. So what do you think is the most hardest part of that whole experience?
I feel like her family was in hiding with another family. Though these two people had very different mindsets. The other family, we can call it Peter's family. They were people who had different mindset. They were more like preserved, while Anne's family was more open-minded, we can say. So their opinions clashed, and there were many arguments that Anne stated in her books.
True that. Being hidden, staying hidden, and being surviving in such situations with others, it also poses a very difficult situation in front of you, because you have to manage. You cannot be like, no, this is mine, this is mine. You cannot be self-centered. You have to think about others.
And there is always feeling that what if they find me?
True that. And this book also dwells into the loneliness aspect, because Anne has to be isolated from everything that she ever knew. She has no friends around her, but we do get to see the development of friendship between her and Peter. Do you think that friendship helped her in the annex?
Yes, it did, because first I felt like she saw Peter as arrogant. She found him annoying, but later on that annoyingness changed into curiosity. And she started and she wrote in her diary entries that she also started liking him afterwards. Why? Because she saw the vulnerable side. She saw he was also like her, just similar. So she felt like there could be a bond between them. That's why I feel like her and Peter's friendship helped her grow more, and it helped her grow in relationships. Because she was she always thought that only I am right and other people don't have really that much, what can we say, like struggles like I did. But after she heard Peter's side, she thought like, oh, there are people like me too. I can relate with them. That's why I feel like that.
So she developed empathy and she matured as a person.
Yes.
Being in that situation, it is very difficult for us to imagine. So when you are in a situation where your very existence is threatened and you have to stay hidden along with another family, do you think it brings out more selfishness in people, or does it make them more generous?
I feel more selfishness, because everyone at that certain point will think about themselves only. Okay, they will think about their family, but would they think about another person that they aren't that much close to? They always fighting with them. Then at some point they will only think about itself, because it's hiding. They are hiding from a very powerful dictatorship which can find them at any moment. So I feel like selfishness will be the right way to describe them.
So among the two families that were in the annex, do you feel that Anne's family was more generous or more selfish, or was Peter's family more generous or more selfish?
Anne's family was more generous, while Peter's family was more on the selfish side. They didn't directly said that, but as Anne's diary entries, Peter's family tried to change her way of doing certain things, and I feel like they had no right. And also said that they are not my family. How can they tell me to do certain things? So I felt like Peter's family were trying to make the other family like them. So that's kind of a part of selfishness. They wanted everything for themselves. They also there was a part where they were dividing rooms to bath. Peter's family took the best spots, and Anne's family had to go to the tinier way in a tiny kitchen space. So that was very mean of them.
And being in that kind of situation, when we think about it, one question that comes to my mind is that if you could talk to Anne today and tell her how her story left an imprint on your mind and your heart, what would you say to her?
I would say I would tell to her that she has inspired so many generations. People are still reading her books, and personally for me, she changed my perspective of the world. I used to see world in a very saddening obviously what's happening around the world is not very good right now. But she showed me that even if the circumstances are not that bad, there is hope, and there is some kind of, and we should always like be resilient during these situations. So she showed me that even in the darkness there is hope. So I feel like that I would like to tell her that she inspired me very much. Her words left a really deep imprint on my heart, and I found her, she was just a teenager, but her mind, her thinking style was so different. It was like a wise man giving the words of wisdom.
True that. If she would have been alive today, she would have been very proud to know that the words that she etched into her diary, leaving that legacy, are inspiring young minds like you today. And one question that I would like to ask you: do you write diaries like Ain did? And if you do, what would you name your diary? She named her diary Kitty. So what would your diary name be?
I write diaries, but I don't have a particular name for it. But if I would like to name it, I am pretty much interested in dinosaurs. So I would name it Dino, as in like a cute little
a chubby
dinosaur.
figure of a dinosaur. That's quite amazing. And one key lesson, takeaway from her whole journal entry, if there was one thing that would stay with you for a lifetime, what would that be?
It would be resilience, and in the hope of, in the face of adversity. Meaning that coping, see, even if the situations are hard, even if the situations are challenging, we should always have a hope to keep going and wishing for a better future. In Anne's diary writings, we can see that she, even though she knew what was going in the world, she still believed that the world can be a better place for us to live. She even expressed it that in a way, I would like, it was like in spite of everything, I believe that humans are good at heart, but the world has made it, but the world is we made it ugly. But we have a chance to make it beautiful, and if she was alive right now, world may be a better place.
True that. There is always hope at the end of the tunnel. And Ain's diary is read by millions of people still. As you are one example, you chose to read her book. So why do you think it's important for people to know her story?
Because her story is very unique. It shows the civilian side of the war. People don't really focus on civilians. They only focus of, oh, this army died, oh, that died. But there are also civilians. They are not at fault. They are innocent people who did nothing. She was just and like the Nazi occupation declared some rules, particular rules that were like Jewish people were not allowed to go out of their house. If they were out of his house after 8 p.m., they would get killed. And there were only like shops which they were allowed to shop at were Jews shops. They were only allowed to shop there. If they go somewhere else, they get killed. That was very unjust, and people don't talk about that very much. So her diary showed us the way normal people, the innocent people, have suffered due to world wars.
True that. Usually they just become mere numbers or figures that were killed, and her diary shows us, humanizes the victim side for us. Thank you so much, Gargi, for being with us here today. You gave us great insights, and it clearly shows that Ain had a great impact on you. Thank you. To our listeners, mark your calendars for November 22nd, 23rd and 24th for the Orange City Literature Festival happening at Chitnavis Center. Meet over 100 plus authors from across India and dive into 3 days filled with books, discussion and inspiration. Thank you for tuning in today. Join us next time for interviews from our city's budding book lovers. Until then, happy reading and happy listening.